Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Martial Arts Radio Network. Up next, you will be listening to the USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame Show Host of the Year Award winner, the one and only Justin Harvey, producer, director, and on-air star of The Justin Harvey Show.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Ma from World Martial Arts Media, and today I'm here to tell you about LegacyBelts.com. Legacy Championship Belts and Awards is the world's premier manufacturer of custom and cast championship title belts who supplies belts to the top professional boxing, MMA, and wrestling organizations on the planet. If you're a promoter or collector looking for a high-quality MMA, martial arts, boxing, wrestling belt, or even a belt for a special event, then you need to visit LegacyBelts.com today. Be sure to like us at www.facebook.com/LegacyBelts. Hi, Stephanie Ma here again with a special report from World Martial Arts Media about LegacyFightGear.com. Legacy Fight Gear is the official supplier to the world's oldest and most respected martial arts organizations. They have been manufacturing high-quality, affordable products for over 30 years. Visit their new online catalog at LegacyFightGear.com today. School owners who want to raise money for their teams can register to get a wholesale account and become a distributor for LegacyFightGear.com. Don't forget to like our official page at www.facebook.com/LegacyFightGear.
Hi, this is Eric Neff. I play Mora, the monkey-style fighter in Bloodsport, and you're listening to The Justin Harvey Show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Harvey here, The Justin Harvey Show. I am very, very proud on this night. Before I bring my guest on tonight, I would like to thank one of our sponsors. I would like to thank Legacy Belts. They are officially one of our sponsors in conjunction with World Martial Arts Radio Network. Now, the reason I am so proud, as you all know, Bloodsport has always been my favorite film since the age of 3. Well, the man that I want to introduce to you today, I have wanted to speak to for many years. I am proud to bring Mora from Bloodsport to the show. Welcome, Eric Neff, sir. I am so happy to have you on.
Thank you. I'm excited to be on your show, and I appreciate you having me.
So, how are you feeling tonight, sir?
I'm feeling pretty good, you know, having some nice weather in Los Angeles, so it's all good.
Yeah, Los Angeles is a good place, I hear. It's one place that I've yet to visit, and I would love to visit. But tonight, since I am such a fan of Bloodsport, how about we start there? Can you kind of take us through the process on how you got the part as Mora on Bloodsport?
Yeah. Wow, that's so long ago. But I auditioned for the part of Mora in Bloodsport while I was living in Hong Kong. And whenever I say that, people always ask me, you know, what were you doing in Hong Kong? So it's kind of a long story. But I was studying Chinese martial arts, actually, Wallum Kung Fu, 7-star Paramantis in Boston. I got an opportunity to go to China and study, and I did that. I studied in China for like half a year, about 6 months. And on my way to China, I had stopped in New York. Rather in Hong Kong. Loved the place and wanted to spend some time there. So when I finished my studies in China, I went back to Hong Kong and hung out. So, you know, I lived in a hostel with a whole bunch of different folks, which was really interesting. And, you know, of course, you run into people that's doing movies in Hong Kong. And so I was asked by a casting agent to do some movies. So I did a couple of, like, local Hong Kong flicks. And the part of Bloodsport came up, saying casting director told me about it. And I went out for the audition. And so they were looking for somebody that did monkey style kung fu, and I didn't do monkey style kung fu. although I was familiar with it, and a very good friend of mine in Boston was very good at it. Javon Holmes, he was really extremely good at monkey star kung fu. So I saw him practice regularly all the time. So when they kept saying, well, we're looking for somebody that does monkey style, I'm like, well, I do all kinds of other styles. They was like, well, but do you do monkey style? I was like, oh, yeah, I do monkey style. And so I got the part. So now I had to go out and train and practice and study monkey style, which is what I did while I was in Hong Kong. And then that was pretty much a self-study and just like based on what I knew of my friend style and what he did with monkey style, and also what I saw while I was in China, and, you know, of course, Chinese martial art movies, which was like, I was a big fan of growing up, you know. So Mora was a combination of all those things that I saw.
That's awesome, and I wanted to tell you one of my favorite scenes in the film, and I'll let you talk a little bit about it if you can remember. I love the very beginning when you hop in the tree and you break the coconut in two. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I just was blown away by that scene. I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah, I felt kind of differently about it, but it was interesting because that was actually filmed like in the early mornings, and I wasn't given a script for the movie, so it was just like you show up, you told you're gonna show up here, and you show up and like, this is what the scene is, this is what's gonna happen. You know, that's my recollection of it. I didn't get a script for the film, but yeah, that breaking of the coconut hurted because it was a prop, but it was really cold and the prop got solid, so I guess they like broke it up and then glued it back together somehow. So when, you know, I break it, you know, it breaks, right?
Yeah.
But one, I didn't, you know, I was like, I was told it was a prop, so I was ready for it to break when I, like, you know, touched it. So I hit it and it didn't break. I was like, yo. And then, you know, I'm hearing, you know, like, you know, go, you know, do it again. You know, so I'm sitting there like hitting that thing like a few times before it actually cracked and my hand was sore. I wasn't prepared for that. I was like, oh, I thought this was just supposed to break. You know, this is a movie. I wasn't trying to like, you know, do a stunt. But it was pretty interesting. But when I saw that part though, I kind of felt kind of like weird about it. When I went to see the movie though, it was, you know, I kind of felt different. I was like, because I think for me the development of the character wasn't there, and just, you know, because there's a lot of things I think that happens with that character, right? I mean, it's a point in the movie where Van Damme's character, you know, like basically avenges what happens to Mora in the film, you know, because of how the sumo wrestler dealt with Mora. But there's scenes that were cut out of that scene. So when I fought that sumo wrestler, or we call him sumo, everybody calls him a sumo wrestler. I forget his name in the movie, but everybody that sees the movie refers to him as a sumo wrestler. Although I don't think he really looked like the sumo wrestler, so he not only breaks my back in the movie, but he also rips my nose off.
So they actually cut that part out?
Yeah, so that part is not in the movie.
Wow.
So, which, you know, like fuels the way Van Damme fights him and why he gives him that blow at the last blow. You know? So those things were in the movie. But I also feel like, just like based on like the racism in the society, you know, then and now, that, you know, the way, you know, it's one thing as a martial artist to be familiar with like the monkey style fighting and doing monkey style, right? You know, like people in martial arts are familiar with that and animal styles and stuff like that. But I think for the larger public, where like there's this narrative of, you know, black folks being referred to as monkeys and less than human and stuff like that. So for me, when I saw the movie, I kind of felt like maybe they could have done a little bit better to with the narrative so that it didn't kind of come off like that. I kind of felt like it came off like that a little bit for me. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I remember seeing the movie for the first time and I just sunk in my feet. I was like, oh no, because I was on the set for at least a month. Like filming, so there were, I think, ways that it could have been filmed, but you know, it is what it is, and it's you know, they didn't make me do that part right. I was like, oh yeah, I do monkey style, even though I really didn't, you know, because I'll be in a movie, why not? Yeah, that was cool. But it was a good experience. I had a good time on the set, made some cool friends. And had a really good time. I had a good time in Hong Kong as well. You know?
And the scenery just looked beautiful. I mean, honestly, and the way the fights were set up, even the ring and the building, it was just it was like everything was just beautifully put together. And I think one of the reasons that the movie did so well is because of casting. You know, I honestly believe that.
Yeah. I think a lot of the people that were on set that did the fighting, like 90% of those folks were actually serious martial artists. You know, so it was cool just to be on set with people that we like. This is what they did. A lot of them were in Hong Kong, either studying or competing in like on these underground fights. You know. So it was an honor to get to meet a lot of people on the set that, you know, were very serious martial artists there. And some of them have done like some great movies, you know, after Bloodsport, you know, had some great careers. You know, so I think you're right. I think Bloodsport did have a lot of talented martial artists, and each martial artist choreographed their own scenes. Wow. And
so, I do know that you worked with Frank Dukes on the film too, and you know, and I've known Frank since 2009. I'm actually, you know, his biggest fan of all time. What was it like working with Frank at the time, you know, of the film?
Oh, Frank was cool. He was a really relaxed dude. You know, it was nice to meet him, and somebody that had such an interesting story. An established martial artist. And then when I came out to LA, I hung out with him a few times as well, like back in the late 80s, when I first came out to LA to visit. You know, we hung out a little bit. But he was a good guy, always had some good stories to tell, you know.
Yeah, I actually told him about this interview tonight, and he's like asking me, he's like, how are you finding these people? He's like, this is great. And I said, social media and just lucky, I guess. So.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I'm like, how do you know, I think you know him too. He's on Facebook. He has a Facebook group on Bloodsport. And he contacted me. I'm like, how do people find me in this day and age? Because it's like I'm not using my Eric Neff on social media, so it's like very rare for people unless you really, really know me, you don't know that the two people are the same. And so it was really weird for me. I'm like, how do these people find me when I'm not even like out there like that? You know, it was really funny.
That's why it was so hard for me to find you, because I was searching high and low for you just to do this interview, and I've been searching for several years.
That's funny. Yeah. But I guess the timing is right now because you just found me, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And the way it happened, what happened by accident, I found Nathan first, and then he kind of helped me find you. He says, he's on my friends list. look him up, and
Right.
I looked up his name, and I'm like, he's not here, so so luckily the owner of the Bloodsport group knew that what name to look under, and then I tried to contact you, so.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Nathan's a good guy. This is how funny this world is, right? Because Nathan studies and has been studying 7-star praying mantis for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a style that I started studying in Boston.
Wow.
Right? And so I meet Nathan in Hong Kong, and he's playing a guy that does capoeira in Bloodsport, right? So, and I remember having a conversation with him at Bloodsport. He's like, "Do you know much about it?" I'm like, "No, I've heard of it before. I had never seen it at that point, so I really didn't have much to say. Only that I've heard about it, but I don't even know what it looks like."
Yeah.
So fast forward, I come back to the States. I moved to LA, and I see capoeira for the first time, and I start getting involved with it. I do it now. I teach capoeira, right? And and I found out about capoeira, and Nathan was playing the person that does capoeira in Bloodsport, which I think was really funny. And he's still doing 7-star praying mantis, which is what I used to do and no longer do.
Yeah.
And that's just funny.
Yeah. Do you have any upcoming movie projects that you would like to talk about that you're allowed to talk about?
No, I kind of got out of the movie game after Bloodsport, shortly after, because when I came out to Los Angeles, I did intend on getting into more of the movie side of things, but a lot of the roles that were, being offered, that I was being considered for, wasn't really things that I really wanted to do. I didn't want to be a drug dealer. I didn't want to be a gangster, stuff like that.
Yeah, you didn't want to portray those characters.
Yeah, right. So those types of characters didn't really resonate with me. And being part of Hollywood wasn't really that big for me. It's like I didn't have to do it. So I just did other things. I did stuff behind the scenes. I, did publicity. I did production. I worked in the music industry for a while. And I just I just teach capoeira and and I also do urban sustainability things, so I do things that like help communities fight for equity and, social justice, that kind of a thing.
Oh, that's amazing. That is truly amazing. Like with this podcast, I do it to contribute to the martial arts world because, I'm not like all the other media that calls people to drag them down. My goal is to get stories like this about you being in Bloodsport before these stories get lost. Right. So.
Yeah, when and then I spoke to Nathan as well. He told me about you, and he was like, yo, he's a good cat, And he told me your story. I was like, that's somebody I wouldn't mind talking to about. As you know, I'm hard to find. And so you have an exclusive right now because I don't think I've ever talked about my experience with Bloodsport to anybody other than, like family and close friends that was like, yo, what was it like in China? What was it like in Bloodsport? But, funny enough, it's like Bloodsport comes up at least a few times a year around me for some reason. It's like, people really like it, and, people that know I'm in it just never let me forget that I'm in it, It's like my claim to fame, so.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Cool.
Yeah. And I know that Frank, if you called Frank up this minute, he would also vouch for me, too, because actually Frank told me one time, he said, you know more about me than I do.
Yeah.
So.
That's great. What's Frank to these days? What's he up to these days?
He's been traveling the world, and he's actually has started his own social network for martial artists to connect. It's something like Facebook, but for martial artists. So I'll have to send you a link so you can check it out.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So, but I actually like the style of capoeira because I've seen it done, and I just think it's awesome, and I think it's beautiful. So
yeah, it's a great history, and it was funny because just having spent so much time doing Chinese martial arts, and one of the things that I loved about the Chinese systems is the fluidity of it, and a lot of the styles also the playfulness of it. Styles like the monkey style, all the different animal styles, the drunken style, those types of styles really resonate with me because of the deceptiveness of the styles, and the fluidity of it, and then those were really styles that resonated with me. So when I saw capoeira Angola particularly, there's like generally like two styles. You have capoeira de Angola, and then you have capoeira regional or contemporâneo. But the capoeira Angola, when I saw that, I was like, wow, that is everything that I have always looked for in a martial art. It had that fluidity, it had that playfulness, and but what resonated even more with me with capoeira was the cultural affinity. It's like this is an African system that I can like relate to on a lot of different levels. It's the spirituality of it. I can really, that resonates with me. The cultural aspects of it. So when I saw that, I was just like, I was completely blown away. I was like, yo, I'm in. This is it. So and that's the style I've been doing for the past 20 some odd years now.
Wow. Wow. Are you in any martial arts Hall of Fames or anything, or?
No, I'm not. I don't even know how those things work. So I don't know if people nominate you or you just write in and say, I want to be in it. No, but I'm not. I know quite a few people though that I like in it, but I'm not in any.
Yeah, I was just wondering because where you've contributed for years to the martial arts, I was wondering, and yes, you do get nominated, but that doesn't necessarily you'll get in because last year I was inducted into the USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame for the work that I've done with.
Oh, congratulations!
Podcast. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's awesome.
So, and I do hope that I get the honor and pleasure to actually meet you one day. So.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
And I promise I won't make you boast a coconut. I believe you. So.
Yeah, that was funny. That was interesting.
So, cause, Frank told me that you were a really cool guy, and he said that y'all got to hang out again.
That would be cool. I'm gonna have to reach out to him next time he's in the country. He's a busy man. See, that's a guy that I need to follow after. You know what I mean? It's like he's doing things. He's doing big things. I need to be with him.
Yeah,
doing some of that stuff.
Can I share you two cool stories about me and Frank actually?
Yeah.
Real quick. Okay. Well, the first story is he actually did a ancient technique on me called Chuakal, which is Mongolia, and after the massage, keep in mind I'm in a wheelchair 100% of my time. I was able to sidestep for the first time in my life with literally no effort at all.
Wow.
So.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, and another incredible thing too. When I stayed at his home and trained. At his home for a week, he actually had me in the water doing martial arts. I mean, I was literally standing and doing punches and even kicks in the water.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
So yeah,
that's great. That's one of the reasons too. Nathan, when Nathan was telling me yesterday, I was like, I definitely talked to you. It's just like you got a great story, man, and a warrior spirit, and that's what it's really all about, man.
having that warrior spirit.
Yes, sir, because I can remember having different surgeries and being in the hospital for several days, and my mother, she would make sure that I had a VCR hooked up so I could watch my Bloodsport VHS. I watched it so much, it bounces now.
Oh, you're gonna have to get a DVD or something now.
Actually, I've got several different versions. I even got Apple to put it in iTunes as a digital download.
Wow.
So.
Man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Because what's funny about it, I actually called Apple up and, I told them, I would love to have Bloodsport in the Apple Store, and I told them that I watched that film every day, and they got smart with me and says, you can't possibly watch a film every day of your life. And I said, not only do I do that, but I know the man that it's about. I said, don't make me call him up. And they shut up real quick, and they put it in the store. So.
All right, you have some big achievements under your belt. That's great.
Yeah. So I try to do what I can, So.
Right. That's what it's all about, man. Do what you can for as long as you can, whenever you can.
Exactly. I was looking at Internet Movie Database, and they've actually got 2 movies listed for you.
Yeah.
Clash of the Ninjas. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Clash of the Ninjas, and then I think the other one is Silver Dragon Ninja.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you talk about those?
The Clash of the Ninja, I don't even know if I remember. So one of the things that they would do in Hong Kong a lot, and which was one of the things I was like, I can't do it. I can't mess with y'all anymore. So one of the things they were doing was like they would shoot a movie, and cut up the movie and make several other movies with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they would like cut them up and like it would be like they were remixing movies, I guess you could say, back then, which was kind of weird to me. I don't know. So I did a few. I think there's another one, but I don't remember what the name of it is. But there's Clash of the Ninja, and I think also Civil Dragon Ninja. I think both of those I did with Paulo, who is in Bloodsport.
Wow.
So
That's
Paulo,
great.
he does Thai boxing in Bloodsport.
Yes, I actually have spoken to him one time on Frank's phone, but I've been yet to get a hold of him for an interview.
Yeah. So he moves around a lot too, I guess. But so those 2 movies, I'm pretty sure those 2 I did with Paulo, and we were like co-stars on those movies.
Awesome.
And they were like the first couple of movies that I did when I was approached to start doing movies in Hong Kong. And so that was my introduction to the whole movie thing, filmmaking, and being an action actor or what have you. So that was really interesting. It was interesting is all I can say about it. But Paulo was always really cool to hang out with. So, definitely had a lot of fun hanging out with him and doing those movies with him.
Awesome. And I see that you were in a documentary or something that's listed here. Was that ever finished? It's called Boulevard Warriors.
Boulevard Warriors. Yeah. So I think that's it. I think it is finished. I didn't hear back from the guy that did that, but what he was doing is kind of like similar to you. He was going around and documenting folks that had gone to Hong Kong and made movies, or not actually just Hong Kong, but particularly like black folks that were in movies and promoting martial arts and were serious martial artists that were doing martial arts and what their contributions were to the martial arts. Just like regular folks, I guess, to some extent.
Oh, okay. Because I would love, to see that, because that would be cool. Yeah, that would be really cool.
So
Yeah, so that wasn't an interview, like a live interview. He came to my home and just interviewed me on martial arts and blood sport and a few other things that I had been doing.
Now, one of my last questions for you is, were you ever approached about Bloodsport 2, and did you ever see that, and what did you think of Bloodsport 2? Because one of my disappointments was that they did not continue with the story of Dukes, and it did have a lot of the similarities, but you could tell that even the fight scenes were different, not as good as they could have been, like in the first.
Right, yeah. I was never approached for Bloodsport 2. I've not seen it. And yeah, I think it would have been, there was a lot, I don't know where Bloodsport 2 was shot.
It was actually shot, I think, Thailand is what I was told.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I had one of the producers on my show last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what I was gonna say to that was that, like, in Hong Kong, stuff was like really different.
Yeah.
And so there's no guild, like Actors Guild, there's no union type thing, at least back then. So they just came, they just went around looking for martial artists, and then you just came in. Are you a martial artist? Let's see what you got. Okay, that's it. All right, cool. You're in the movie. And then it was up to us. All right, we're going to pair you with this person and that person. And this person and this person. You guys are going to fight. And then these are the people that goes to the next round. And then it was up to us to actually choreograph the fight scene. So I think that was some of the good stuff in Bloodsport and filming it, that, the background information. It's like, all these martial artists were like, each individual was actually doing their style and choreographing it, for them. So it wasn't just like one choreographer for everybody. Everybody was doing their own thing, I think, which was really nice about it, and gave it that unique feel and that authentic feel too, I think, I think that was pretty cool about it. I didn't see the one Bloodsport 2, so I really couldn't comment much on it.
Yeah, you're not missing much, to be honest. I mean, because it's really what it is. It's a watered down version of what Bloodsport is. I mean, there's only one true movie, and that's Bloodsport 1.
Right. Yeah. Was Van Damme in Bloodsport 2?
No. I think he turned it down. It was Daniel. What is his name? He was in Mortal Kombat Conquest. Daniel Bernhardt. There we go. Daniel Bernhardt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but you could tell that the storyline had a lot of similarities to Bloodsport 1, but because a lot of the times the sequel is not, as good as the first film anyway. But
right.
I tell you what, I would love to see, and I'll let you give me your final thoughts. I would love to see a Bloodsport reunion, like get some of the cast members back together.
That would be cool. Some Bloodsport has, like, I think, an Academy Award winner they can boast about, Forrest Whitaker won an Academy Award. He was in Bloodsport, So that's big, And Van Damme went on to do some big things.
Yeah, Kickboxer was his next biggest thing after Bloodsport.
Yeah.
And I've almost interviewed the entire cast of Kickboxer with the exception of Mr. Van Damme, but like I've always said, my door is always open. Always.
Oh, okay. So you've interviewed just about everybody except for Van Damme for Bloodsport, then, huh?
From the kickboxer side of things. Now, I will say that I did contact some of the cast. I won't mention any names, and they actually blocked me on Facebook, but it's all good.
Yeah. Bloodsport?
Yes, sir. But I've talked to a few of you guys, like Mandy Chan, who was the janitor in Bloodsport, and then and I'm actually trying to figure out a way to record an interview with Bernard Mariano, who was in Bloodsport, that gets his tooth knocked out in a fight by Van Damme.
Yeah, and I think that really happened.
Yeah, actually, Frank told me that. Frank told me that it did because.
It really did happen because, that was there was some really pretty intense moments.
Because I tell you what was really special for me back in 2009. When me and Frank first met each other, he sat down and watched Bloodsport with me and told me what was what and told me stories. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There was a lot of testosterone on that set.
I could tell, but it was great. It was great. I would even love to see a blooper reel for you guys, because I'm sure that there was some mistakes during filming.
There have to be some hilarious. Yeah, that would be nice to see. I wouldn't mind seeing that myself.
Yeah. And as you know, the 25th anniversary just passed of Bloodsport.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know.
It's been that long ago. That's crazy.
But what amazes me is I'm sitting here talking to you right now. I'm actually in shock, because I never thought I'd find you.
That's funny.
So, because you've been on my TV for years,
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I appreciate that. That's it's flattering. It's pretty cool to have been a part of something that has had an effect on people and positively, because I have nephews that they're always talking about Bloodsport, and all their friends are like, yo, my uncle was in Bloodsport, but it's really cool that it has resonated with some people, and that it's helped people either get into martial arts or just help them fuel their little fire that they have about martial arts and keep it pushing, in training. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice cult classic. I actually like it,
Well, I know it's helped me out a lot, because when kids and stuff were outside playing like normal kids do, I was sitting in my room watching Bloodsport. If I'd have a bad day or something, I'd watch Bloodsport. I used that as my fire for inspiration. And actually, what's funny about it is people used to laugh at me and stuff and make fun of me because I would watch Bloodsport on a daily basis. But look where it's gotten me today.
Right. So,
I'm getting to live my dream.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I'll go ahead and wrap up the show, sir. Do you have any final thoughts? And anytime that you ever want to come back and discuss capoeira in depth even more, you're welcome to come back on the show.
All right, awesome. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for reaching out. Thanks for being a fan and enjoying what I did in Bloodsport. That's flattering. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. And you're an inspiration too. I definitely want to say that. Just getting a little bit of your story, I have mad respect for you and your spirit in your fight, in your warrior spirit particularly. Just keep pushing, keep doing your thing. Do whatever other people are saying, whatever they're doing is, do what you want to do and, follow your dreams and your goal. And like you said, look where you are today,
You've been a fan of Bloodsport, and then, you're doing what you love. That's really important. I think not enough people do that in this day and age, is that doing something that they love doing.
No, because they really don't want to put in the work, sir. It's sad. Right. It's like, people want the recognition, but they don't want to put in the hours and stuff. I mean, I can remember when I started this little show, and it was just local people, and I got my story out there even more, and and just with the clothes on my back and my heart, my show's getting bigger and bigger every day.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But if I'm ever in LA, I would love to meet you, and I definitely want to keep in contact.
Yeah, definitely, man. Whenever you're in LA, just hit me up. You have the info now.
I sure will, because 9 times out of 10, if I'm going to LA, Frank will probably be with me, because we sometimes we do stuff together, like when we train. And what's funny is me and him actually dress alike, and some people call me his little mini-me. It's hilarious. But if you got time, I got one more funny story for you.
Sure.
Okay, and Frank actually was helping me in the car, because, where I'm physically disabled, I have to be physically lifted up in a car. Well, my hand actually bumped him in the head, and I knocked off his hat, and he says, because me and him joke around with each other after training and stuff. He says, boy, you knocked off my hat. That's fighting words. And I said, oh man, there's the real Frank Dix when you need him. He started dying laughing. So me and Frank had some good times. So.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, definitely. It would be, if you're ever in LA, hit me up. Let me know. I'd like to meet you. I wouldn't mind connecting with Frank again. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I thought it'd be cool, to kind of, have you two reconnect somehow. And I will actually I will private message you Frank's number if you would like to have it.
Okay, cool.
That way you two can reconnect. So,
yeah. Awesome.
Because he said she's like, how did you find him? I'm like, social media. So, because Frank's just amazed that I've found some of the guys from, the film.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But anything, if you ever need anything, sir, let me know. And I really am grateful that you've taken the time out of your busy schedule to speak with me.
All right. You're very welcome, and I hope, having me on has helped, your radio. And, I really appreciate you reaching out and having me on. Thank you.
My pleasure. I mean, you really helped me out, because I had no idea about the scene that was taken out, that you were actually killed like that. And I just, I was like, wow, that's just a great story in itself.
Yeah. I might have something for you. I'll send you a picture if I can find it of what it looked like.
That would be great. That would be awesome, because I would love to see that. I would actually, one of my disappointments that I will say when I got the DVD is I wish there would have been some deleted scenes and stuff that you could have seen that was taken out of the film, because I had heard, like, the first version of Bloodsport that was released, or that they were trying to release, nobody wanted to release it because they said it was so terrible.
So. Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny. I wonder what was in it.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been the fight scenes. I think the fight scenes were like the strong points.
Yeah. And I would have, I would love to have seen you come back and get revenge on the sumo.
Right.
That was just terrible. How he just breaks your back and like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually studied that scene, and I'm like, come on now.
Yeah, I think if my monkey star was better, I would have gotten the best of them.
Yeah. You hit him a good few times, though.
Yeah.
Because when I first saw it as a kid, I was like, maybe he can actually win. And then I saw that you jumped again, and then he ended up catching you and breaking your back. And I'm like, that's terrible. Yeah. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Would you have, while I'm thinking of this, would you have liked to have been in the movie longer or have a longer scene than what you did get in the film?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess. Yeah. Just I think for the reasons I mentioned before, just to give the character a little arc, like a better introduction. But yeah, I was good with it. I was doing so many other different things in Hong Kong at the time, though, that it was just like, yeah, the Bloodsport was just one of the things that I happened to do while I was out there. I enjoyed staying in Hong Kong so much that I had to figure out ways to make money and stay there. So I DJ'd at a club, and that was big. I DJ'd at this club called Hollywood East, was like a club that closed at 3:00 in the morning, and everybody went to that club. But after that club was closed, everybody came to the club I was at, was Club Malibu or something it was called, and that club closed at 6:00 in the morning.
Wow.
So it was just like partying all night. It was just like crazy. I don't think I got sleep when I was in Hong Kong, really.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was just like one thing after another, So we'd the club would close at 6:00. At 6:00 we'd go out for dim sum. From dim sum we'd go out roller skating, or play pool, and then from there, if it wasn't an early day, go on the set, finish doing our thing. That might be like another 10-12 hour day, depending. From that, catch a nap or something, go hit the club again. It's just like it was just like a serious, just like party and no sleep. It was crazy.
Yeah,
Hong Kong was fun.
I could see you as more a DJ, and that'd be hilarious. Instead of jumping in a tree, you'd jump in the seat and start doing your DJ thing and the turntables. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I did out there. I was hanging out with a lot of the folks out there. I met, who I met while I was in Hong Kong at the club was Brandon Lee.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And Brandon Lee was out in Hong Kong. He was working on a movie with a friend of mine, actually. And I got to meet him. He came in the club one day, and one of the waitresses came up and was like, I know you're into martial arts, but you'll never guess who's in here. I'm like, who's in here? It's like, you'll never guess. I'm like, okay, so who's in it? It's like, Brandon Lee. I'm like, Brandon Lee who? It's like, Brandon Lee. I'm like, Brandon Lee? Brandon Lee? Bruce Lee's son? It's like, yeah, he's right here. I was like, I have got to meet him.
Was he a cool dude, or what was he like?
He was really cool. He was a really cool dude. And come to find out too, who is in Boston. He went to school in Boston. And funny story he shared with me was that he worked at a restaurant in the kitchen at the grill. And one he fell asleep at the grill one time, and then he showed me a burn on his forearm
kind of like the burn Kwai Ching had when he, like he was a monkey,
yeah.
you had to grab the big pot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like we would crack, so we had jokes about that because, he had kind of like a burn mark because of like, kind of like that, but that was only because he fell asleep at the grill when he was working in the kitchen. He burned his forearm. So
you could do like a spoof movie and call it Grill Shaolin.
Right. Yeah, really. Grill Shaolin, that's a good one. But yeah, I was really fortunate to have met him. It was really cool.
Are you still DJing to this day, or are you just concentrating on your martial arts?
Yeah, I still DJ every now and again. I still get out there and do it. I do events. One of the events that I just did is a street beats event where I turned the intersection into a musical instrument. So the intersection we turned into a musical instrument happens to be one of a dangerous intersection in the South Los Angeles area.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of fatalities at that intersection, cars, speeding through, hitting pedestrians and cyclists. So I did an event to address the safety issue at that intersection and at the same time make it fun. So I had people were able to like play music at each corner while they were waiting for the light to change. So it was a really cool event. So we had that. I had some DJs, fellow DJ friends of mine come and DJ also at the event in different areas. So, those are the types of things I'm doing right now to address social justice and, alternative transportation methods, like making the streets safer for folks, making sure streets are ADA compliant, because I think one of the things is that LA particularly, but I think across the country, we're too heavily dependent on cars. Cars, cities are very car-centric, and we need to get the streets where everybody can be in the streets, right? Whether you choose or have to walk, you should feel safe doing so. And if you're riding your bike, you should feel safe doing so. And if you're in a wheelchair, you should be able to get around and not have to go out of your way just to be across the street. It's like there's a lot of those issues that I still prevalent in certain communities that we have to address to make sure everything is equitable. That everybody has the proper infrastructure, and feels safe.
Yeah.
So that's like the kind of work that I'm like focusing on now.
That's amazing.
But I still like to DJ and still do martial arts.
So
I'm sorry.
Have you ever mixed the two? Like, do you do your own music, or do you do your mixes, or do you do any of that, like with your DJ and stuff? Do you do your own mixes, or do you play certain things that people want you to play, or?
No, I'm pretty much a house music head.
Uh-huh.
So like I play primarily house music and dance music. So sometimes I do mixes. I don't do them often, just because sometimes I just don't have the time, and I really should be practicing more and really doing a lot more mixes. But and I also play instruments, so drum is a little bit. So I'm just like I'm all over the place, man. I do involved in everything, DJing, doing capoeira,
Man, you've got an amazing story. Honestly, you do. What's your speaking of DJing and stuff, what's your computer of choice, Apple or Microsoft?
I use Apple.
Me too, my friend. Me too.
Yeah.
Been
using it for a long time. They're pretty reliable.
Yeah, a lot of producers and DJs and stuff use Apple. So.
Right.
So. But thank you so much for being on the show, sir. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with, or because we can wrap this up anytime, sir? So.
Oh, okay, yeah, we can wrap up. Just thanks again for having me on your show, and I continued success and wish you all the best, man.
But thank you, sir, because for me this has been loads of fun because not only have we covered Bloodsport and martial arts, we've covered music, which music's one of my other biggest passions which I will be emailing you something. I actually got in a recording studio that a friend of mine had. Now, keep in mind, I'm no Stan Bush or anything, but I actually re-recorded Fight to Survive in my own way.
Oh, wow, all right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'll have to send you a copy of that.
All right, yeah, definitely.
So, but thank you for being on the show, sir. It's been an honor, and I hope that eventually you will come back and go more in depth about capoeira because that style actually interests me, even though I'm disabled. Like, I hear the music and stuff a lot of the times when I see capoeira, and I really get into it. Like, my spirit gets into it. I start dancing and stuff. It's just, it's a style that actually speaks to me. So.
Oh, sweet. Cool. Yeah, anytime you want to do that, let me know, and we'll do it.
Yeah, yes, sir. And
I'd love to talk about capoeira.
Yeah, because I would love to learn more about it. And if I'm not mistaken, capoeira was developed because the slaves at the time was not allowed to practice any type of fighting martial arts, so they had to disguise it with dance.
That's generally what the story is, but it's not really
not
the accurate.
Yeah.
It's a romanticized version of it. Although parts of that is true, right? I mean, there's an element of it where you have to hide what it is that you're doing in the face of the oppressor as you're refining what you're doing and, using it to fight against the oppression. But capoeira is actually an art form that has its history, its roots in the central region of Africa. And it's also said that that word capoeira or kipura comes out of that location, right? And in Angola, in Central Africa, capoeira was used as a rite of passage. So young boys, when they were young, going into manhood, they'd have a rite of passage that they went through. And one of the things that they learned was capoeira as a tool for protecting their community. So they had a ritual. And then whoever won that ritual got to marry his bride without paying the family a dowry. That is the tradition that capoeira comes out of. Now, when it goes to Brazil, through the enslaved Africans, there's more than one martial art out of Angola, out of Central Africa. In Africa in general, when people think of martial arts, they don't think of Africa as having a martial art. But Africa probably has the oldest martial arts, on the planet, right? Because the people that brought martial arts to China came from India.
Wow.
Right? Martial arts comes from India with the Bodhirama, right, is the person that brings the Shaolin system, what became the Shaolin system in Asia. He's from India, but he's from a caste system called the Dravidians, or the black people of India, who came out of Africa.
Wow.
So you have the migration of martial arts going from Africa into India, into China, and then to Japan and to other parts of the world. But yeah, it's funny to me how folks don't ever consider martial arts having a place in Africa when you look at
a lot of African footage, you see, certain things, like you see long range weapons, right? The spear, or the stick. That's a long range weapon. There's the technique and the technology, a science behind using that weapon. You just don't pick up a long stick and use it. It's like, so there's a system, right? And then they have short range weapons. There's a lot of knives in Africa, right? In the shield. So you're looking at a martial system when you look at an African carrying a shield, a sword, and a spear. But nobody's acknowledging the fact that these are martial artists, or warriors. Like, there's no science to their methods, but there is.
Wow.
So that's the history of capoeira. It comes out of the Congo and it goes to Brazil. But then what happens when it's in Brazil, you have different Africans that are also there, right? So you not only have Central Africans, you have West Africans, and you have different ethnic groups within a particular region as well. You may have people from Central Africa, but you have different tribes and different systems that are coming together. So
wow,
a lot of different types of African martial arts come together in Brazil. And here's why I say that, because when people say capoeira is Brazilian, well, what do you mean exactly? Because even the language in Brazil isn't Brazilian, right? It's Portuguese.
Wow.
So, and if you look at indigenous martial systems in Brazil, when you look at the indigenous people, the Indians, right, of Brazil, they have a different style of fighting. Their wrestling is different from what you would find in capoeira. But when you look at capoeira and you look at Africans in other parts of the world, like in Trinidad, Haiti, Cuba, you see similar systems of fighting.
Wow.
And they're all being fought to music. So if I would show you footage, I'll email you or send you a link of footage. And when you look at it, you think you're looking at capoeira, but you're not. You're not looking at capoeira, and you're not even looking at Brazil. It's a different part. It's in West Indies. It's in Trinidad, like in that particular area of the West Indies. It's not Brazil at all, but it looks like it's capoeira. So if you didn't know any better, you'd be like, yo, that's capoeira. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's laja. It's a different system, but it's similar. Why is it similar? Because it's just maybe the same people came up with it. And the region where it's evolved is different, so some things change in it, but the root of it is still there. It's still the same, So,
wow,
yeah,
that's amazing. I'm glad that you told me this story because I wanted to make sure and have the facts on the true story of capoeira because it's one of the styles that interests me. Really, really well. And I was going to tell you real quick, speaking of capoeira, Frank Dukes worked on a film a couple of years ago that actually focused on that style. It's called Only the Strong.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, Frank worked on that?
Yeah, actually, he worked on that, and there's a part that he's in, but you don't see Frank's face, and he's listed as the welder, and he tries to attack Mark Dacascos, and Frank actually gets a car dropped on him, and he dies.
Huh. Well, I didn't know that. Well, I know the guy that taught Mark for that movie. That's in the movie with him as well. Yeah.
Really? I know I'm keeping you, but can you talk a little bit about that as well? Because that would be interesting too.
About knowing the capoeira guy. Amen Santos, who is in the movie, like as I think he's as the teacher also. He's one of the folks in the movie. So I had a capoeira class here in LA. So I studied with him for a while, actually, for a year or so, capoeira.
Wow.
Before I actually moved on to capoeira Angola. So he's in LA. Yeah, and he was from Brazil.
And actually, there were two guys that taught capoeira in L.A. back then at the time, and Amen and another guy named Nielsen, who was also my roommate. So yeah. So it was like I didn't know Frank was involved in that movie.
Yeah. I think he was a fight choreographer, and then like I said, you don't see his face, but he's like a welder that's in the scene, and he gets a car dropped on him and he dies.
Cool.
So I mean, not a lot of people would realize that unless they're looking at the credits at the end, end of the film. So, and that film was when I first saw capoeira, and I was like, this is really interesting. The music and the style, it's really cool.
Yeah. It has a great history, lineage. I love the fact that music is really tied to it. I know, when I was in Boston, when I was doing Chinese martial arts, every Friday we would blast the music in the dojo, because Friday was kind of like a free day. You just come in and work on your stuff. And, and only the people that were really crazy and didn't have a social life would be at the martial arts studio and not out on a date or something,
Yeah.
So our club was actually going to the martial arts studio and training. And because it was a free day, and our seafood didn't mind that, but on any other day, we couldn't play the music, the stereo. Class was pretty serious, but Friday we could do that. So we'd go there on Friday, we'd be blasting our music, and we'd train martial arts. So music was really always a natural aspect of the martial arts to me. So when I saw capoeira, and it was, it's an integral part of it, you don't really have capoeira without the music, particularly just the ritual aspect of it, so it's always played to music, and which is great because it teaches, you get a lot of information with that, timing, rhythm, the whole nine.
Yeah, I mean,
fighting is a dance,
Yeah,
it really is. Because I remember, when we used to want to go fight, you're really getting into it. You're about to go, you want to dance with me, and you want to dance? That's what you want to do. So, so capoeira, has all those elements in, which is awesome. It's wonderful. So I really get, I like the fact that you get to play music, you get to sing songs, and you get to dance, and fight at the same time, but really don't look like you're fighting. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation,
Yeah.
And it's good for the spirit, actually.
It is. Yep.
It really is.
It is.
Unless you're listening to something really, really angry, and then that's not so good for your spirit. But something good for the spirit, because music can affect your mood, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I know. For me, if I go a long time without having music around me, at some point I start to feel I must be depressed. And then I make an effort to actually play music for me to get out of that funk and out of that depression. Because I like waking up in the morning, just blasting some good music, get me dancing. It's your body feels happy, all your cells feel happy when you're feeding it some good vibrations.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's why I love doing my podcast, because basically, my podcast is my life. I don't really have a huge social life outside of my home, but at the same time, I'm actually friends with a lot of people around the world. I mean, it's amazing. I'll give you a good example. Not many people can say they're friends with Frank Dukes or Michelle Kesey or David Worth or, these stars that I grew up watching as a kid. Nobody can say that. That's to me. that's a huge accomplishment for me.
Yep.
So
definitely.
Because I tell you, when I first talked to Michelle Kesey and he told me, he said, you're one of my heroes, I about fell out of my seat. You know, that man has done so much for the martial arts industry and the movie business. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. So I'm open. Yeah.
You're inspirational. That's definitely, that's awesome.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. But, you've inspired me for many, many years, huh? And I'm not just saying that either. It's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It really is the truth.
Thank you. That's a blessing. Mm-hmm.
And it's a blessing to be talking to you today and being able to do this. It really is. It's unreal. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself, and I'm glad I was able to do it, and you were able to benefit, from our conversation. I had a good time talking with you. Had me thinking about some memories that I hadn't thought about in a long time, so it was cool. It was real good.
It's been a blast for me, and I'm sure we'll be emailing back and forth and Facebooking and all that. And I was going to ask you, are you on Twitter as well, or do you just do the Facebook thing?
I'm on Twitter as the CACLA. And actually, in Street Beats LA.
Okay, if I email you my Twitter account, would you mind following my account, and I will follow your account as well?
No problem. Yeah.
So that way we can support each other. That's how it works. Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
And this interview will be on iTunes and YouTube, and it'll be all over the internet. So.
All right. Cool. I get another 15 minutes of fame.
Well, it was long overdue, sir. In my opinion, it took a long time to find you.
Yeah.
So, and I just wanted to ask you, and you don't have to answer this, but was the name change a spiritual thing?
Was the what?
Your name change. Was it a spiritual thing?
Yeah. So I've been studying African spiritual systems and martial arts for quite some time, and through one of those systems, I went through a process, and part of that process was given a name. And I just started using that name just because I felt it really spoke to where I want to go, and who I was at the time, and where I'd like to be. So it was a reminder of what I'm responsible for. Mm-hmm. So and I like to use that name. So both names I use interchangeably, but depending on when people meet me at what point, if they knew me before the name change, then they call me Eric. But if they know me after that, most likely they call me Omar Ade or Ade. But either is fine. But when I go home to my family, they still call me Eric. Yeah. But the name change was due to that. Yeah, it was through a spiritual process that I went through. And the name means Omar Ade is child of the crown. And so the full name means the child of the crown of truth.
I see.
So so I like to use that name to keep me grounded and to keep me, hold me accountable for what I'm actually supposed to be doing.
Oh, okay.
Uphold truth.
Yeah, because the hardest thing for me was, because I'm very professional at times, and I'm like, because when I first found you, I'm like, what am I supposed to call him? I don't want to offend him, or.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not. Yeah, I don't get offended by that. It's just.
Yeah.
It is what it is. If you don't know, then you don't know. It's no big deal.
Yeah, because that was one of the problems I was facing. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if he thinks I'm one of these guys that's just plain downright, evil or something, and So you had me worried just there a little bit,
Oh, okay. Well, I got to keep you on your toes, man. I got to keep you on your toes.
Well, you definitely did. Trust me.
No, that's cool.
But thank you for your time, sir, and I'll be in touch in the near future.
All right. Sounds good. Take care of yourself.
You have been listening to The Justin Harvey Show here on the World Martial Arts Radio Network. Be sure to tune in again next week for his latest show. Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Ma from World Martial Arts Media, and today I'm here to tell you about LegacyBelts.com. Legacy Championship Belts and Awards is the world's premier manufacturer of custom and cast championship title belts who supplies belts to the top professional boxing, MMA, and wrestling organizations on the planet. If you are a promoter or collector looking for a high-quality MMA, martial arts, boxing, wrestling belt, or even a belt for a special event, then you need to visit LegacyBelts.com today. Be sure to like us at www.facebook.com/LegacyBelts. Hi, Stephanie Ma here again with a special report from World Martial Arts Media about LegacyFightGear.com. Legacy Fight Gear is the official supplier to the world's oldest and most respected martial arts organizations. They have been manufacturing high-quality, affordable products for over 30 years. Visit their new online catalog at LegacyFightGear.com today. School owners who want to raise money for their teams can register to get a wholesale account and become a distributor for LegacyFightGear.com. Don't forget to like our official page at www.facebook.com/LegacyFightGear.